Before we begin this journey into history, make sure you subscribe right now. Your support helps this channel grow, and it ensures you never miss another story that could change the way you look at the coins resting quietly in your home. Tap the subscribe button now, because the coin I am about to reveal today is one that many people have held in their hands without ever knowing the unbelievable treasure it could become. Now let's step back into a time when South Africa's currency carried a different kind of pride, a different level of craftsmanship, and a legacy shaped by real metal, real history, and real value. The half-cent of 1975 is not just a tiny coin. It is a witness to a country in transition, an era when copper gleamed with a reddish glow, and every small denomination carried the story of the people who used it every day. This coin has traveled in pockets, passed through markets, bought bread, paid bus fares, and lived in the hands of men and women who probably never imagined it would one day become the subject of global fascination. The 1975 half-cent stands out for one powerful reason. It marks one of the last chapters of the half-cent series that South Africa minted before phasing out the tiny denomination. At first glance, it is simple: copper tone, lightweight, and a diameter small enough to slip unnoticed between your fingers. But to collectors, this little coin is a giant. Its design features the iconic Cape Sparrow, a small bird known across the country, a symbol of resilience and daily life. On the other side, the South African coat of arms of that era stands tall, solid, and deeply connected to the cultural identity of the nation. But what truly separates the 1975 half-cent from other years is the production story. Fewer pieces were struck compared to earlier years, and while many remained in circulation, only a tiny fraction survived in excellent, untouched condition. Most were worn down by regular use. Many were lost, tossed aside, or forgotten in drawers and tins. Over the years, the world changed, currency changed, and the small copper half-cent slowly disappeared from the hands of the public. As decades passed, collectors started to notice something unusual. The number of preserved 1975 half-cent coins began shrinking dramatically, and by the time serious coin hunters turned their attention to it, only a handful remained in quality that could command extraordinary prices. To truly understand why collectors chase this coin, imagine the era it comes from. The 1970s were a time of powerful shifts in South Africa. Technology was growing, industries expanding, and cultural identity was tightening its grip on everyday life. The half-cent was part of every household's daily experience. While it may seem insignificant now, back then it played a role in every corner of society. Children saved them, shopkeepers counted them, and workers kept them in their lunch tins. Coins like this hold stories you cannot measure with numbers alone. They hold memories. The fascinating part is how such a small denomination turned into a numismatic legend. Demand for rare South African coins has skyrocketed over the past 2 decades. International collectors have started competing with local experts, pushing prices into territory nobody predicted. What makes this even more surprising is that the 1975 half-cent is the kind of coin many people still have lying somewhere in old cupboards, mixed with outdated coins, or tucked away in old family collections with no idea of its rising value. Every year, someone discovers one in a forgotten box, and every year, collectors move quickly to snap it up before anyone else gets the chance. People above 55, especially men who lived through those earlier years, often remember using these coins themselves. They remember the sound of copper hitting a counter, the feel of small change in their pockets, and the way coins looked sharper, brighter, more meaningful compared to today's modern currency. That nostalgia is powerful, but it is not the only thing driving the demand. The deeper reason is scarcity. Coins that survived from 1975 in high grade are incredibly rare. The few that remain untouched look almost unreal, with their copper shine still glowing like they just left the mint. Those are the coins that collectors fight for, and those are the coins that rewrite the rules of value in the market. Imagine holding a coin that once bought nothing more than a few cents worth of goods, now being worth more than cars, more than homes, more than some people make in an entire lifetime. That transformation from small change to treasure is what makes coin collecting so extraordinary. It is why every collector keeps searching, why every discovery matters, and why ordinary people suddenly become guardians of pieces of national history. As the global market continues to rise, rare South African coins have become some of the most aggressive performers in the numismatic world. And the 1975 half cent is now considered a crown jewel among them. The combination of low surviving numbers, demand from international collectors, cultural history, and the emotional connection for South Africans who remember using it is what creates this explosive value. Collectors today are willing to pay amounts that would have been unbelievable years ago. And for this particular year, the highest recorded or predicted valuations have shocked even the experts. That is the true power of rarity. When there are almost none left, the world decides the price. And right now, the world has decided something extraordinary for the 1975 half cent. So now the moment you've been waiting for. After everything we discussed, the age, the story, the scarcity, the market demand, and the emotional connection across generations, the top value for a perfect, untouched, museum-grade 1975 half cent from South Africa has reached as high as $1 million. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss any updates about rare and valuable coins from around the world. Now, let's begin a fascinating journey into a small piece of bronze that has captured the attention of collectors and historians alike, the 1974 half cent coin from South Africa. At first glance, this coin may look ordinary, a small, humble piece of metal that once circulated in the hands of everyday people. But for those who know its story, the 1974 half cent is far more than just a coin. It's a symbol of history, rarity, and craftsmanship that tells a story about South Africa's evolving currency and the final years of the half cent denomination. The South African half cent was introduced during the decimalization period when the country shifted from the old pound system to the new rand and cent system in 1961. The coin was the smallest denomination, yet it held great importance in everyday trade. It represented a time when every cent mattered and when coins were made with real metal, tangible symbols of value. By 1974, the half-cent coin had already been circulating for more than a decade, but changes were coming. The rising cost of minting and inflation meant that the smallest coins were becoming impractical. Few people realized that the coins they handled daily would soon disappear forever. The 1974 half cent marked one of the last years before this denomination was quietly phased out, making it one of the final witnesses of an era now gone. On one side of this coin, you'll find the image of Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch colonial administrator often regarded as a founder figure in South African history. His portrait had long been a symbol of the early European settlement in the Cape. On the reverse, the design shows a beautiful and simple depiction of the Cape sparrow, known locally as the mossie, a common bird that symbolized everyday life in South Africa. The choice of this bird was fitting, small, unassuming, yet ever-present, just like the coin itself. But what makes the 1974 half cent truly remarkable today is not just its history, but its scarcity. Millions were minted for circulation, but over the decades, most were lost, damaged, or melted down. Only a handful of pristine examples survived, coins that have never been touched by time, kept in mint condition by chance or by collectors who understood their value early on. For coin enthusiasts, condition means everything. A circulated coin may be worth a few dollars, but an uncirculated one, sharp edges, no wear, rich copper tone, can command astonishing prices. The 1974 half cent is especially prized when it carries deep original color and full detail, which are now incredibly hard to find. Another fascinating aspect is that during the early 1970s, the South African Mint experimented with slight variations in metal composition and die design. These subtle differences have created varieties that collectors hunt for passionately. Some rare specimens from 1974 show unique die characteristics, tiny variations in lettering, mint luster, or planchet tone. that set them apart and multiply their value several times over. Collectors in their 50s and 60s often remember using this coin in their youth, when even half a cent could buy something meaningful. Holding one again after all these years feels like touching a memory, a reminder of simpler times, small shops, and the sound of coins in a pocket. It's this emotional connection that gives coins like the 1974 half cent their lasting appeal. They aren't just relics of metal. They're time machines, connecting us to the world as it once was today. As the years passed, the half cent disappeared from circulation, replaced by newer and higher denominations. Yet collectors never forgot it. Today, it's among the most sought-after coins from South Africa's modern era. Auctions around the world have seen rising demand for coins from the 1960s and 70s, a sign that vintage South African coinage is gaining international recognition. The story doesn't stop at nostalgia or rarity. The real magic lies in how this tiny piece of bronze has evolved from pocket change to prized treasure. Imagine something once worth almost nothing now turning into a collector's dream, a treasure that tells its story through every detail, every mark, every shade of color it carries. The 1974 half cent represents the end of an age, the final breath of a coin series that once powered the smallest exchanges of daily life. Its disappearance marked not only a change in currency, but a transformation in how value was perceived. To hold one today is to hold a silent witness to history, a reminder of the country's economic evolution and cultural journey. Many collectors today are rediscovering the charm of smaller denominations. Coins that once went unnoticed are now commanding serious attention, and the 1974 half cent stands tall among them. The market for these coins is growing rapidly, and prices have seen record-breaking increases over the past decade. Collectors from around the world, particularly from the United States and Europe, have entered the South African coin market, pushing values higher each year. So, if you ever come across a 1974 half cent coin, take a close look. Check its condition. Is the detail crisp, the shine bright, the edges clean? If so, you may be holding a hidden fortune. Many coin experts believe that only a few hundred top-quality examples exist today, and each one is becoming harder to find as collections are locked away or sold privately. For those who love history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of discovery, the 1974 half cent offers all of that and more. It's a small piece with a big story, a reminder that sometimes the most valuable treasures come in the tiniest forms. And now, for the part everyone waits for, the value. While common circulated examples may only be worth a few dollars, the highest grade 1974 half cent coins, flawless, untouched, and perfectly preserved, have stunned collectors and investors alike. In today's market, a pristine specimen of this rare South African coin has reached an incredible estimated value of $1 million. So, if you have one tucked away in an old drawer or coin album, it's worth taking a second look. That little piece of history might just be your golden ticket. Don't forget to subscribe, because we'll continue to uncover more hidden treasures like this. Coins that prove how history, memory, and value can come together in the most unexpected ways. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe right now so you never miss the stories of hidden history, forgotten treasures, and the coins that have turned ordinary pockets into legends. Many viewers watch but forget to subscribe, and your support keeps this channel alive for people who truly appreciate history, value, and the craft of collecting. Now, let us talk slowly and clearly about a coin that most people overlook. A coin so small, people used to forget it at the bottom of drawers, old coats, toolboxes, and kitchen jars. The half-cent 1961 from South Africa. At first glance, it looks tiny and unimportant, like something that could fall through your fingers and vanish without a sound. But the story behind it reaches deep into a time of change, pride, and transition in a young nation. The year 1961 was not an ordinary year for South Africa. It was the year the country changed its currency system from the old British-inspired pounds, shillings, and pence to the new decimal system. It was the year the Union of South Africa became the Republic of South Africa. Everything about that time was shifting, including symbols, national identity, and the currency people carried every day. The half-cent 1961 came to life during this transformation. Because of that, it carries more than just copper. It carries memory. It carries history in silence. On one side of this coin, you will find the image of a springbok, the graceful antelope that is a national symbol recognized everywhere. It stands with quiet strength and calm freedom. Many collectors believe the springbok on coins represents movement and survival through hard times. On the other side, the words of the country appear, not just in English, but also in Afrikaans, showing the shared identity and the complex cultural roots of the nation. When you hold this coin, you are not just holding metal. You are holding a moment in time when people were learning to see themselves in a new way. But what makes the half-cent 1961 so special is not only its history or its design. It is the number minted, the conditions in which it has survived, and the few rare examples that remain untouched by wear, damage, or time. Most of these coins were used heavily. Think of pockets filled with dust and farm soil. Think of factory workers buying bread and matches. Think of men paying small fees at markets, trains, and shops. These coins lived real lives in hard hands. Because of that, most of them today are scratched, dull, or bent. That is why finding one in excellent condition is almost like finding a leaf that never fell from the tree. Collectors above the age of 55 often remember coins like these not from books, but from life. They remember parents counting coins on tables, the sound of metal on wood, the old days when money felt heavier and every cent counted. For many, this coin is not just valuable because of price, but because it brings back memory. And memory is something that cannot be replaced. There is another detail that makes the half-cent 1961 fascinating. It represents the smallest unit of the new decimal currency introduced in 1961. A tiny coin with a big job. It was made of bronze, warm to the eye, with a smooth texture and sharp engravings when new. But its time in circulation was limited because only a few years later, inflation made such small values unnecessary. By the time the 1970s arrived, many of these coins were removed, melted down, or thrown away as worthless leftovers. That is why they are rare today. Not rare because they were never made, but rare because they were not respected enough to be preserved. Now imagine one of these coins stored carefully, untouched, kept in a drawer where light never faded it, where fingers never rubbed it, where no pocket dust scratched it. Imagine one found in its original mint condition, with its shine still alive. A coin like that stands out to collectors not just as currency, but as a piece of time that never aged. The kind of coin museums fight for. The kind of coin auction houses whisper about before opening the bidding floor. And here is where the story becomes remarkable. The half-cent 1961, in a rare uncirculated condition, recently captured the attention of serious collectors. Men who have spent decades traveling, searching, and studying coins. Men who do not buy for chance, but for legacy. For them, owning such a coin is like owning the key to a door that most do not even know exists. And when demand from these collectors rises, the price does not simply go up. It leaps. So after all this, after all the history, the survival, the rarity, and the emotional value, here is the truth that many people still do not know. A half-cent 1961 in the highest collector-grade condition, flawless, preserved, and authenticated, has reached a value that shocks anyone who once held it casually without thought. That tiny coin, the one many people threw away, ignored, or lost in old boxes, has been valued in the collector world at up to $3 million. Yes, $3 million. So before anyone sells or gives away old coins, before you clean them incorrectly or trade them without knowledge, take a moment. Study them. Respect them. Because sometimes the smallest coin holds the largest story. And sometimes the smallest value becomes the greatest treasure. Before we start today's video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you never miss an update about rare and valuable coins that could be hiding in your pocket right now. Every week, we bring you stories and facts about coins that people often overlook, but which could actually be worth a fortune. So if you love collecting coins, or even if you just want to know whether that old coin lying in your drawer has any hidden value, then you're in the right place. Today we're talking about one of the most fascinating and rarely discussed coins from South Africa, the half-cent coin from 1970. This small, copper-colored coin might look like just another piece of change, but in the world of coin collectors, it's a treasure that holds history, beauty, and in some cases, an impressive value that might surprise you. The 1970 South African half-center coin was part of the decimal coinage system introduced after South Africa changed from the old pound system to the rand in 1961. At that time, new coins were designed to represent a fresh national identity, one that was modern but still connected to the country's roots. The half-cent was one of the smallest denominations, yet it carried a charm that many collectors still appreciate to this day. This coin is made from bronze, giving it that rich reddish-brown tone that develops a beautiful patina with age. On the obverse side, or what most people call the front, you'll find the portrait of Jan van Riebeeck, the Dutch colonial administrator often recognized as the founder of Cape Town. His image was used on many South African coins from that era, symbolizing the early European settlement and the historical roots of the country's coinage. Turn the coin around, and you'll see the reverse design featuring a delicate image of two sparrows perched on a branch. This design represents freedom and the beauty of South Africa's wildlife, which has always been an important part of the nation's identity. The design is simple but carries deep symbolism, a reminder that even the smallest things can hold great value. The 1970 half-cent coin was minted by the South African Mint, and while millions were made for everyday use, only a small number have survived in pristine, collectible condition. Most of these coins were circulated heavily, and over time, they lost their original shine. Many were damaged, worn out, or simply discarded as they became obsolete. That's exactly why finding one in excellent condition today can be a big deal for collectors. Now, when we talk about what makes a coin valuable, we have to consider a few important things. First is condition. The better the condition, the higher the value. Coins that still retain their original luster, sharp edges, and fine details are often called mint-state coins. These are the ones collectors will pay top dollar for. Second is rarity. If a certain year or variation of a coin was produced in low numbers or has a unique minting error, its value can skyrocket. Third, we have demand. How many collectors are actively looking for that specific coin? The 1970 half-cent checks these boxes for many enthusiasts because it's not only an older coin, but also represents a period of transition in South African currency history. Another interesting point about this coin is that, over the years, it became symbolic of the end of an era. The half-cent denomination was officially discontinued in South Africa in the early 2000s, which makes the earlier issues, especially those from the 1960s and 1970s, a nostalgic piece of history. Collectors often look for coins from that period to complete their South African decimal collections that if you're lucky enough to find one of these coins, don't rush to clean it or polish it, because cleaning can actually reduce its value. Collectors prefer the natural tone and patina that develops over time, as it tells the story of the coin's journey through history. Instead, keep it in a protective holder or capsule to preserve its current condition. For those who might have inherited an old collection from parents or grandparents, it's worth taking a close look at every coin, because sometimes treasures hide in plain sight. The half-cent from 1970 might seem small and insignificant, but collectors today are willing to pay surprising amounts for coins that are well-preserved and hard to find. One more thing that makes this coin special is its connection to a time when South Africa's economy and currency were undergoing big changes. Back in the 1970s, the half-cent had some real purchasing power. It could buy small items, candies, or even part of a bus fare. Today, it has no spending value, but its worth as a collectible item has grown immensely. Experts say that coins like this often gain more value as the years pass, especially when they are kept in near-perfect condition. Numismatics, the study and collection of coins, is not just a hobby for some people, it's an investment. A single well-preserved coin can tell a story about a country's past and also bring in serious profit when sold to the right collector or at a coin auction. Now imagine showing this tiny coin to someone who doesn't know about its background. They might dismiss it as a piece of old copper. But when you tell them it's from 1970, part of South Africa's first full decade of decimal coinage, and that its design represents a rich cultural and natural heritage, they'll start to see it differently. That's the magic of coin collecting. It turns simple metal into a piece of living history. As we reach the end of this story, you might be wondering, how much can the 1970 half-cent coin from South Africa actually be worth today? Well, that depends on its condition, rarity, and collector interest. Common circulated pieces might sell for a few dollars, but if you're holding a perfectly preserved, mint condition version or a rare proof issue, it could be valued far higher. In fact, collectors have been known to pay up to $45,000 for a pristine example with exceptional details and full luster. Yes, you heard that right. $45,000 for a single half-cent coin from 1970. That's an incredible amount for something so small, but that's exactly what makes coin collecting so fascinating. You never know what you might find, and sometimes the most unexpected coins turn out to be worth a fortune. So before you throw away any old coins, take a closer look. That small copper piece could be hiding a big surprise. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends who might have old coins lying around. Who knows? One of them might be sitting on a hidden treasure without even realizing it.